Hi, this is Mr. Shumway. This video clip explains how to find the midpoint of a parallelogram. One way would be to use GeoGebra. You can use graph paper. You don't need either, but let me show you how to do it on GeoGebra first. Okay, so if we know that the parallelogram is defined by these 4 points, 5, 6, -3, -2, 1, -4, and 9, 4. Let's go ahead and plot those points. So if we wanted to find the midpoint between point B and point D, well, we could just look at the x-coordinates. The x-coordinates go from -3 to 9. We'd find the distance between those would be 9 plus 3 more would be 12. Half of the distance is 6. Well, if I'm at -3 and I go 6, I'll get to 3. So we know that the x-coordinate will be 3. Let's look at the y-coordinate. The y-coordinate, well, these values go between y is 4 and y is -2. So the distance would be 4 plus 2 is 6. Half of that would be 3. So if I'm at -2 and I go 3, I'll be at 1. So we think the midpoint will be right there at 3, 1. Well, let's check that out. One way we can check that out is we can draw line segments from D to B and from A to C, and where those two lines intersect should be the midpoint of that parallelogram. So we were able to find that point just from finding the point halfway between D and B. We could have found that point by finding the point halfway between A and C also. Well, you may notice that B had the extreme for the x in the negative direction and extreme for x in the y direction. So if I were to find the extremes in the x's and the extremes in the y's, I could find the points without plotting those. I could go through this list and say, well, okay, the furthest to the left is -3, the furthest to the right is 9 on our x. Furthest to the right is, furthest up is 6. The furthest one down is -4. Find the point halfway in between those, and I wouldn't even need to graph them. But you can graph them on graph paper, and you can use GeoGebra. Either one is fine. Maybe I should have connected those points with segments to start with, so it'd be easier for you to see that it's a parallelogram. Anyways, this is parallel to that. AB is parallel to DC. So that's how to find the midpoint of a parallelogram.